Hello, and welcome back to another astrological book reading. My name is Henry Harrison, and we've been reading this nice book, William Ramsey's Astrology Restored, for a couple weeks now. We left off in the middle of the first chapter of the second section of the fourth book of the book. And previously we talked about more significators of the government, and that's in our last Astrology Restored video, if you haven't seen it. But assuming you have, we're just going to continue talk about, looks like the state of the people today, and we'll probably look at the 2021 chart for the fixed signs again. So, alright, without further ado, I thank God for this opportunity yet again to share with you something dear to my heart, which is the wisdom of God in looking at His heavens, by which He's instrumentally brought forth what He wills. And He does things much beyond what we can understand. So I pray that He'll give us a small portion of His wisdom to contemplate these mysteries for His glory and praise. In Jesus' name, amen. So. All right. The condition and state of the common people in any revolution of the years of the world or any other. So likewise judge of the state and condition of the people, having regard to the ascendant, its lord, the moon, and lord of the year, and if they be well placed and dignified, also well aspected by the benevolence, judge the condition of the common people or subjects to be prosperous. But if you find the contrary, judge also the contrary. In like manner you may judge of any of the aforesaid significators, mutatis mutandis, as if the sign of the 11th, the lord thereof, and the planet or planets therein posited be essentially strong and free from all manner of impediment. Judge the condition of the soldiers and assistants of the rulers to be fortunate and successful during that revolution. If otherwise, judge the contrary, and so of the rest, etc. If the significator of the king or the government be under the sun's beams, there is much danger, as say the Arabians, of his decease in that revolution. But I should rather judge his kingly power to be then near death or an end, or likely to be much eclipsed, for that there are many significators to be considered for the judging of death, which ought never to be pronounced upon one bare testimony. Besides, were this admitted, we should consequently conclude by the same rule the death of a whole senate upon such a position and such an ingress, they being signified by the same significator, where there is no king, which were ridiculous in any one so to do. But I say that their power and glory shall be eclipsed and shaken, and perhaps overthrown at that time when any such position is found. If the significator be not as yet under the sun's beams, but within 12 or 13 degrees entering, then judge this catastrophe to be when he comes under his beams, or in conjunction with the sun bodily. The same also is to be feared when the sign of the 10th is Leo, and Mars is in square, or opposition of the sun, or in corporal conjunction with him, but more especially if he be lord of the 8th, or therein located, or in reception, or translation of light with the lord of the 8th, or with Saturn, or any aspect, especially if he be infortunately placed in the time of his nativity or coronation. So likewise, when the Lord of the year is in combustion in the 10th, this danger is threatened him by his own dominions. But if he be thus afflicted in the 4th or 7th, the danger is to be feared and expected from some coming out of those regions signified by the sign wherein the Lord of the year is afflicted. Know also that when in any revolution the sun is significator of the rulers of any place, and in square or opposition of Jupiter, they shall be envied and molested by their own household servants and subjects, if there be any such aspect betwixt the Lord of the ascendant and the Lord of the 10th. The common people will also rise up against their superiors to reject them. But if there be any friendly aspect between them, or reception, or translation of light, judge the contrary. You may know the several accidents and the nature of them by your significators coming to the place wherein the infortunes were at the time of the ingress, or meeting with them in their ordinary motions, etc., and this of either king, people, or any other, still remembering to have regard to the planet afflicted, and who are thereby understood. Okay, that makes sense. All right. He's saying that if we can, I'm sure you understand, but he's saying for my benefit that whatever the significators are during the revolution, when they have bodily aspects or the closely aspected, when the planets are, which signify different people in a region, then the malice or otherwise good will come about at that time. You may know the several accidents of the nature of them by your significators coming into the place wherein the infortunes were at the time of the ingress, or meeting with them in their ordinary motions. So either when they come to the place where they were in the revolution, or when they meet with that significator during that revolution by aspect or body, as far as I can tell. So, if the significator of the king or any other applies to a malevolent planet, or receive the light of one slow in motion, it threatens very much mischief or death to the party or parties signified by your significator. That's pretty clear, right? Also, if thou wouldst know the cause of any evil or cross to happen to the king or chief rulers by the significations of the houses, thou must be sure thou beest well versed in them, which thou mayest learn in the 42nd chapter of our second tract in this volume, as if the significator be afflicted in the second house, or from planets therein, judge the cause to proceed from the signification thereof, as money, wealth, assistance, etc. If in the third it is caused from or by children, kindred, neighbors, short journeys, and the like. And so, according to the signification of the other houses, judge if it happened in any of them, and so likewise of any other significator, as well as the king's, mutatis mutandis. Also, of any other thing or accident, let this be your rule, etc. Well, we have this play out almost exactly in the 2021 chart. The significator of the fifth house, who is Gemini, ruled by Mercury, is in the second house in Pisces, making the square to the significator of the 10th house, Mars. So Mars is in Mercury's house. Mercury's in detriment, making a square to him from the second house. So according to Ramsey, we can judge the cause to proceed from the signification thereof as money, wealth, assistance. So let's consider that in our judgment, because that's like one of the only unfortunate sort of configurations in the 2021 spring chart. So, all right. So let's just keep reading. Look when the afflicting planet comes to the perfect conjunction, square, or opposition of your significator, and at that time, say the evil threatened will come to pass, or when the afflicting planet comes to the cusp of the house, signifying any person or persons of whom thou wouldst judge, or to the place, viz., degree and minute of the sign wherein the planet which is your significator is located, and say then the evil shall happen, unless the fortunate aspects of the benevolence thereunto at the same time prevent it. And if so, then also see what house that fortunate planet is lord of, and where located, and of what significator, and judge the deliverance or prevention to proceed from the person, persons, or things signified by the nature and signification of the planet, sign, and house he is the lord of, posited in, and is significator of, etc. But if the aforesaid conjunction, square, or opposition be in an angle, then judge the evil portended to happen when your significator becomes combust of the sun. An angle, that means that the angular house. Of course, conjunctions, squares, or oppositions will always be in one of the three kinds of houses, either angular, succedent, or cadent, which correspond to the cardinal, fixed, and common signs of the signs. So that, why exactly is it when it becomes combust of the sun? This must be in the annual revolution. I can't say. We'll just have to consider that. See if we get the wisdom on that later. I don't know. Further note that if your significator be afflicted by sextile, that's interesting. I remember reading that. Afflicted by sextile. We do not generally think of sextile as an unfavorable aspect, but it really comes down to what sextile means and the combination of the significations of it. So it's not always good. Not always. Anyway, further note that if your significator be afflicted by sextile, judge the evil proceeds from such as are pretendedly friends to the king, people, or any which your significator denotes, or from such as are not thought or suspected to be enemies. If it be by a square aspect, judge the mischief signified thereby to arise from such as are clandestine and secretly enemies. If by a trine, from real friends and confederates, And lastly, if by opposition, now by open and professed enemies. Hmm. I'm not perceiving a rule that tells me why I would suspect that the significator the planet he's talking about afflicting our significator, I don't see a rule that tells me where I am to know that it signifies an enemy. The opposition makes sense to me by open and professed enemies of that house. Yeah, okay. By a trine, that's the first to the fifth. So I mean, that's your real friends, your real people. Clandestine and secret enemies, first to the fourth. I'm not sure. I don't perceive that rule. Anyway, consider also the planet afflicting and how dignified. See, that's the thing, is you just really got to look at the details, and that rule might come into play more when you've really fleshed out the rules or the situation in terms of sign, house, dignity, debility, reception, speed of course, all those things. Anyway, consider also the planet afflicting, and how dignified, as if a planet in his own house afflict the significator of the king, or chief rulers. He said house, but he means sign. If you don't perceive that, he means sign. Afflict the significator of the king or chief rulers. Judge the evil to arise from their own domestic friends and alliance. Well, in the 2021 chart, we have Saturn in his own house making the trine to Mars in Mercury's house, and him being a significator of the government. And we learned from the above paragraph that you can have an affliction by any kind of aspect. So we can, maybe that will merit further consideration for us. We'll have to really think about it. Pray that we will understand it. My God. If he be in his exaltation, say it will proceed from some of the nobles, princes, dukes, or such as are in high power and authority, or near unto the crown. But if in his triplicity, from such as have their dependency on the aforesaid nobility, or are allied unto them. Well, Saturn's in his triplicity as well. If in term from such as are inferior unto these, as are marquises, earls, lords, and the like, if in face onely, then say that they are but knights or gentlemen. But if the planet afflicting be peregrine and of no essential dignity, it shall proceed from such as are altogether vile and base, or of no reputation or quality, having no honorable rise or dignity. After the same manner you may judge, as you have heard, of the significator of any other as well as the chief rulers, by varying your rules according to art and discretion. but I believe you will never have much need of these curious rules of the ancients. Interesting thing to say. That's the nice thing about Ramsey's book, is he really includes all of the ancient information with pretty minute detail, and he's got pretty good discretion, God-given, in my opinion, about what to really make detail of and what not to. But if your significator be retrograde in any annual revolution, judge much trouble, impediment, and anxiety to the persons or things signified thereby. Okay. As if it be significator of the king or chief rulers, it denotes much trouble and detriment unto their persons, and great fear of unthroning of them. Likewise, if it be significator of the people, and so of any other, or if the Lord of the year be thus afflicted, say the condition of the people shall be very sad and grievous, and much trouble and mischief shall be to their cities and towns, and this shall more assuredly be, if your significator be then in the terms of the unfortunates, and the unfortunate planet afflicted also, and indisposed. For then shall the mischief and trouble be the more grievous and troublesome. So also, if your significator be in the terms of a fortune, if he be ill affected, weak, and in the houses of the malevolence, but if he be free, the evil will be the less, especially if he be in his own house or exaltation or triplicity, essentially well dignified. Now, as touching the significations of the impedition of the Lord of the 10th in any annual revolution. And then let us proceed to the rules of the ancients in judging the true state and condition of the common people in any region by any revolution of the year, over and above what hath been said already, for the better illustration thereof, and so the student may be the better able to retain and understand the rules of art, and as also to judge of these matters the more accurately. Sidebar here: what kings and rulers may expect when their significator or lord of the 10th house of heaven in a revolution is impeded. Okay. You have heard that the sign of the 10th house in any annual revolution, together with the lord thereof, hath signification of kings and chief rulers, the which, if it be combust in any of the angles, it signifieth destruction to the king or chief rulers during that revolution's effects, as if it be in the ascendant, and the sun be lord thereof. You may from hence conclude, if other testimonies concur, that the common people or subjects will rise up against their superiors or governors, and kill him or them, or depose them, or at least grievously molest and afflict them, according to the power and strength of the significators. For if Mars do then afflict him by conjunction or aspect, and be either lord of the 8th or 5th, or therein located, death is the more to be feared. But if Saturn be then in aspect or conjunction with the lord of the 10th, it is likely some Saturnian disease or evil will afflict his person, if he be not lord of the aforesaid houses, and bear dominion either by essential dignity or bodily presence in the 6th, or else some other misfortune will befall him according to the nature of Saturn and the place and sign of heaven wherein he is located. If the combustion fall out so as to be in the 7th or 4th houses of heaven, judge the mischief to be according to the signification of these houses, as you have heard of the ascendant. For if it be in the 7th, you shall say, because it hath signification of the enemies of the people, that the disaster shall be occasioned by them. In the 4th, being the 7th from the 10th, from his own proper antagonists, etc. If in the 10th itself this combustion be, it shall proceed from his own unruliness or willfulness, etc. This is clear. Wherefore now also have regard to the condition and state of the people. But first let us consider the durability of kings and rulers. All right, you all. It looks like we're not going to get to the state of the common people except from that very brief description up here. That was a lot. That was a lot to take in. I definitely didn't get all of that, but I definitely learned a couple things. Especially, I haven't done very much to look at when a planet is in a term of another planet, or face, or a triplicity, to consider that planet and its dignities as I take into consideration the effects of the first planet. So the planet that's there and posited. So it's very interesting. Well, we could look at some examples here. I mean, the 2020 chart is rife, or the 2021 chart is full of them. So let's look at the chart. So start here. You see, I've got the medium coli up here, the MC line. Just an interesting thing that the MC is trine to Venus and the Sun there, which is very, very good. It shows the ascendancy of the government in this case, and in this case their enemies. So let's turn on whole sign houses. Okay, so what more can we say? Well, the 11th house, we haven't talked about that. That hasn't come up yet. So the 11th house looks fairly well dignified with Jupiter there. The south node is still there, so it's in a sense weak because of that. But the condition of our soldiers, that's all I can really say about it. I have some other insight coming up, but I don't really want to go there. So let's see. Let's just kind of look at what we can say. So likewise, judge the state and condition of the people, having regard to the ascendant, its lord, the moon, and the lord of the year, to be well placed and dignified. So in this instance, we have almost every single one of those fortunate possibilities. The moon, so the moon and the ascendant. The ascendant is ruled by Saturn in his own house and triplicity. So he is essentially dignified. I don't think, let's see. Yeah, the moon is separating from the trine to Saturn, but still applying to the trine to the fortune Jupiter in his own term, and in Saturn's house, with Saturn fortified. So it's not nearly as bad as it could be. Not at all for the people. I judge that it will be good for the people in general. But let's see. Okay. See, but it's interesting. We can see that pretty much all of those boxes. If the significator of the king be under sun's beams, there is much danger, as say the Arabians, of his decease in that revolution, but I shall rather judge. Okay, yeah, we know. So, let's see. Go to the California chart, and now in the California chart, the 10th house is ruled by Venus, combust. So it doesn't look that good for this part of the government. Although Jupiter is in the trine to the 10th house now. It's the only aspect that's afflicting Venus is under sun's beams. The sun is ruling the house of death. So there is danger to our rulers in this revolution. We haven't talked about the Lord of the Year yet. We haven't done any work to define the Lord of the Year for ourselves, but the general meaning of it that I can tell is the planet that has the most essential dignity, or all is receiving the other planets, or for some reason is accidentally strong in the revolution, or somehow bears rule over the rest of the planets. But we will get there when we do. I think we're just going to kind of have to sit on this chapter, kind of soak it in, what we've learned from it, because it's a lot of what we've already heard, but said in a slightly different way, and different points being made, surely. But I think we'll do best if we just kind of think about it, and we'll continue in the next episode with the book. All right. Well, I thank you. I definitely appreciate you if you watch this video. If you're an astrologer and you watch this video, hello, thank you for listening. And if you're someone I follow, I thank you for your regularity of putting out your videos and your analyses. I really appreciate it. It really brightens up my day, especially in the wintertime here in this sort of locked down world we live in. So definitely fun to hear from somebody who's passionate about something that I am also passionate about. So I thank you if that's you. May God bless you and give you peace and show you his straight way. In Jesus' name. Thank you so much.